Hi, good morning, everyone. Happy December 13th. How's it going? Alice, so glad you're back on here. Thank you, Alice. It's really fun to be here. It's been a while, and I don't know, I just wanted to do this again because I like this practice. Um, as a lot of you know, I was in grad school first semester the last 3 months, and I've been painting big, really big with oils, painting like we won't even talk about it, but just an approach I'm not, it just was a different thing. It was something for me to get used to, and it was a good challenge. But I'm glad to work with some acrylics again, do landscape. It's been a long time. And yeah, and just see everyone again and say hi. I have to say, my cat is being finicky today, and I feel like she's going to be jumping up and down on my chair and trying to get out and go through the studio and all of that. I'm just sensing it because she's been doing it all morning, but we'll see. But anyway, we'll just take a couple more minutes. If anyone is watching this in the future, my name is Ursula Gullow, and I used to do these live streams every Monday, and I don't know when I'll do them again. I want to keep doing them on Mondays when I have time and when I can. So if you just subscribe to the channel, you'll get the updates on when I do these. But today we are going to be painting a winter landscape scene. And I included a link in the video description below to some images that you can download if you want something to work from. I sent something out to my newsletter with a picture I was planning on using, but I changed my mind. So here is a link. The picture I'm going to use is like number 37. It's like you got to scroll down on that link. Sarah French, hi. It's really awesome to see your text, to see your chat right there and see you in my mind. I hope you're doing well. So another thing is my printer is in need of ink. So you see it's got these lines in it. So I have to work from my iPad. But the picture I'm going to work with today is this lighthouse scene. And the reason why I chose this is because I really wanted like the pinks and the purples and the lavenders and blues and stuff in the landscape. Like that's what's fun about painting snow. A lot of times people just take their white paint and they just like paint it on top of their landscape. And today I want you to be working with like the different values and the different shades, like the pinks, lavenders, grays, yellows even. Joan, I look great. Thank you. I don't know if anyone had this phenomenon where like, I know for me, like being in grad school, like everyone's wearing masks all the time. And then like after 3 months, like you start seeing people's faces here and there and it's like, whoa, like for better or for worse, like it's kind of like cool and weird. And some people are like, whoa, that person's gorgeous, so adorable. And other people are like, whoa, I didn't think that their face would look like that. Not that they look bad, but it's just a weird thing. Okay, I should be quiet. Hi, Joan. So anyway, the other thing, okay, I have to admit, I haven't painted a winter landscape in years. It's been a long time. But one of the things I love, not only are the colors that you can get when you're painting snow, but also the blobby shapes, the blobby forms, like the snow that collects on trees or bushes. I think it's really fun to kind of work with those, you know, as a jumping off point. And you can even like create your own kind of fun, weird, surreal landscapes that way. I have a few images that I will share before we get started of some artists. Y'all might be familiar with these Canadian artists called the Group of Seven. And I'm just sharing this quick little blog post. I believe they painted in the late 1800s, early 1900s. In Canada, and as you can imagine, Canada, there's a lot of snow that you can paint. So I'm just going to share that. And if you're curious to learn more about them, they're called the Group of Seven. And I never remember their names. The only person I ever remember is Emily Carr because she was the only woman associated with the group. And a lot of people didn't even really associate her with the group. So I just shared someone. Lawrence Harris. Here's a painting by, I believe this, no, I thought this was Emily Carr. This is someone else. But I just think this is a really fun snow scene. Charles Birchfield is another painter I've shared a lot. He does mostly watercolor paintings, but he lived in Buffalo, New York. So you can imagine there's a lot of snow there as well. And I just love how fantastical his paintings are. Here's one where he really takes liberty with his colors and his, stylistic choices. And you can do that today. You can turn your landscape into some far out fantasy place. Like I said earlier, I think that the blobs of snow will allow that a lot. Paulette Webb. Hi, Paulette. Thanks for saying hi. Okay, well, let's get started. So we'll put what I thought we would do is choose whatever picture you want to work from. Like I said earlier, I'm going to work from, I changed direction view where I'm newsletter and saw the picture I thought I was going to use. I'm actually going to use this Lighthouse picture because I like these like blobs of snow in the foreground. Sorry, it's hard to see that. This is on the link I shared up above, and you can scroll down. It's like a 37th image. Here, I'll share it again. If you want to follow along, but I would encourage you, just use your own picture, use something that strikes your fantasy or your fancy. I really like using buildings also. Like I just love the hard lines of a building in a landscape. So that's why I was drawn to this particular photograph. But if you just want to paint trees with blobs of snow on them, I mean, I don't even have that on mine. You can also like combine pictures if you want, or work from a painting if you want. It's really up to you. I'm going to be very open about this today. I thought we could start, first of all, a little different than usual. I think we should do some sketches with paint to come up with a composition first. I mean, sure, you can just like copy the picture as it is, but sometimes it's nice to just come up with your own layout of the painting. So you might just work on a piece of paper for this to do sketches. You might also find that you like your sketch so much that you want to just build on top of it. So I'm going to let you figure out how you want to do that. Hi, Joanne. Great to see your name. Okay, so start. Let's get some paint out. Just a reminder, if there's any new people watching, I really like using freezer paper. I don't know if that's coming out the right way, but I like using freezer paper and taking the slick side, facing it up, and then taping it around a hard surface. This is a really nice, portable, easy to clean, quick palette that you can use. And if you've built up a lot of acrylic paint over different sessions, you can peel it off. So it's just a nice, easy palette. So I'm going to start off with burnt umber, a dark blue, because I like to mix those two colors together for a gray. I do need something to help me open this. Let's see here. Okay. These are really useful to help with stuck lids, just FYI. Okay, so I'm going to take some burnt umber. You can use raw umber. Yeah, I miss doing these live streams because they really like inspire me then to work on my own things in a different way. This is a paint called Windsor Blue that I just happened to grab. It's a dark blue. And then I like alizarin crimson. You might also use like quinacridone magenta or something like that. We'll add colors to this. I'm going to get out my titanium white, of course, which is a nice opaque white. You can also get some pre-mixed colors if you want. Like I love this, this light blue. I mean, these are colors that you can mix on your own, but sometimes it's nice to just have them pre-mixed. These like pale, light kind of pastel colors. You might want to have that in your mix also. I'm just going to start with that. You know, maybe I'll give myself a yellow. Why not? I'll probably be getting up and grabbing paints as I go. So we'll just start off doing a sketch and like trying the different compositional studies. And if you want to work from different photographs for this, you can. You don't have to work from the same one. You can figure out like a composition you like. Oh, here's a cup I made. It's my first. I made it in, like I took a pottery throwing class, and it's the first time I made a cup. I mean, you know, it's the first time I did any kind of wheel throwing stuff, so that was kind of fun. I made a teapot to match it. Okay, so here's some colors that I put out. So just to do some sketches, let's try first taking a main element in your whatever picture you're referring to and make that like the main thing that we look at. So in my case, it's going to be the lighthouse here. Sorry about the glare. This is the full picture. I just want to crop it a little bit just to try a different kind of a composition. So to start, I'm going to take some blue and some red, maybe make a violet, maybe add a little brown to it, some water. And then I'm just going to sketch out. I might put it this way also, you know, play with the position of your substrate, whatever it is you're working on. So I'm going to start with that lighthouse, and I'm making it a lot. This is going to be kind of the, for this particular composition, this is kind of the main part of this. So the clouds will be breaking through here. The thing I really like about the photograph I have chosen are these mounds of snow in the foreground. See, I can hear my cat scratching, so I might go and let her out. So if you have those kind of blobby snow forms, I'm going to say just enjoy those. Don't try to make them exactly like you see them in the photograph. Just use your photo as a reference. That's why we call it a reference. We're referring to it, but we don't need to make it exactly, we don't need to make our painting exactly like we see it. So if you're working from a photograph like I'm working from, right away I'm seeing a lot of blue shadows. Again, sorry you can't see this. Sorry my printer's not really working well. I'm going to take a big brush, add some white to my color I had going there, and then just like very broadly start placing in where some of those shadows would be. And I've said this a bunch in other videos. I think it's a really good practice to try to paint details with a big brush, or just learn to get comfortable using a bigger brush. Sometimes people just work with tiny brushes, and then it's almost like your painting looks like a drawing and not a painting. I'm going to use some water here and just really try to be loose with this. So I'm just blocking in the main forms first. And yeah, I am painting very loosely to start with. If you have a building, you don't have to like do all the detail in it. You can just, observe where is the dark side of the building, where is the lighter side of the building. So I'm just going to place in here where there's some shadow or something might be silhouetted. So again, like, I know that snow is white. We think of it as being white when it falls from the sky, but often you won't be using white or just white out of the tube to paint your snow. It might be grays, lavenders, like I said. And I'm going to just start taking some warmer colors and going on top and placing in highlights for this very quick sketch. I want to use a different red also, something a little warmer. I leaned off the camera because I didn't want you to see me opening this with my teeth. Don't get in the habit of doing that. Okay. So I've mixed up a nice warm, I've used my quinacridone magenta and some yellow and white and mix up this nice warm, almost peachy lavender highlight. And I'm just going to go around my painting here and just touch it into the painting where I see these kind of highlights. There's like a bright yellow sunburst in my painting here, or my photograph. Unfortunately, I didn't really grab a picture with a lot of like trees with blobby snow. I might go back and look for one because it'd be fun to try that too. So I've very loosely placed in my lights and darks. And because this is a sketch, I'm not going to get too detailed here, but my next step would be maybe taking a smaller brush, mixing up a dark color again, brown, blue, red, and then going in and putting in more of the details that I'm seeing. And I'm going to place this in very quick, very loose and quick. My cat, excuse me. So I really like painting wet into wet. I'm not the kind of person that like lets my paint dry, especially when I'm working with acrylics. I will just go in there because if you're painting with a dark color into a lighter color, you can get this really nice blended and painterly mark. So I really enjoy that kind of thing. As opposed to waiting for everything to dry and then going in and carefully putting it on top. It's just nice. It really shows the viewer this is a painting. Again, there's so many different ways to paint, and everyone has their own thing that they like. But for me, I really enjoy those kind of moments in a painting. If you want to get playful with your brush strokes and lean into the blobby aspect of snow, you might get a little more circular, like doing these swirls with your brush. And then if you want to develop and you might just be in sketch mode, but if you want to develop it more, use more paint, go thicker with the paint, and start really like um, layering that on top. And hopefully, without using just a lot of white out of the tube, you're still creating this illusion of a paint or a snowy landscape through your blobby shapes, your contrast of shadow and highlight. I want to find an image of blobby trees, like trees with snow on it, actually. So I'm going to probably move away from this. You all just keep painting. I'll try to find something that's easy to get to. Oh, I really like this one. So that link that I shared with you, I'm going to use the second photo on there. Because the thing about the snow, if you're painting something that has a lot of snow, like on the actual trees and on the bushes, you want to try to get the form of the snow. It's not just like I keep saying, it's not just a white blanket on things. There's shadows. It's almost like painting clouds. There's shadows there. It's a form. So I'm gonna move away from this for a minute. There's still, I mean, obviously this is just a sketch, but um, hopefully this is giving you an idea of like paint, pick out what colors to use for your shadows, what colors to use for your highlights, and then, maybe a middle ground of your color. So you could even do that prior. If this was oil painting, especially, I would say like you could go ahead and mix up a couple of batches of paint that you can use. So like for this next painting, maybe I'll go ahead, To me, when I look at this, I'm seeing like a very pale, almost minty greens, blues. So what you could do is mix up. The thing is with acrylics, they dry so fast. That's why I don't really do this a lot. But like maybe I could use this, I could designate this puddle of paint for highlights, and then do a couple other little puddles for myself. That might be more of the shadows, and then some in between colors. If you need to keep your paint wet, you can try spraying it. There's also a product that Golden makes called Open Acrylics, and these dry really slow. So if you are the kind of person that wants your paints to stay wet and you've been really frustrated about it, try the Open Acrylics. There's also a medium you can get called Golden Open Medium, and you can just mix that into your paints and it's going to keep them wet longer. So I put some of this down, this phthalo blue open, so that will keep my paints from drying. It's really a personal preference, but I find that like the rate that the paint dries is one of the toughest things that we struggle with when we start working, especially with acrylics. So I'm going to use this tree. I just have a screenshot of it on my computer here. I'm going to use this tree landscape, and there's this one tree in the foreground. I think that's what I'm going to base everything around. Let's see here. Looks like a funny creature. Yeah, and I just really enjoy like these weird shapes that the snow creates when it builds up on things. It's kind of like the kudzu monsters you see around here, the kudzu growing on telephone poles and sheds and stuff. So from here, I'll just go ahead and kind of plot in where some of these other trees might go in. So there's other trees in this landscape, but my main focus is going to be on this tree here. I am going to take my big brush and then loosely block in like this beautiful sky that's happening in this picture. So I'll take my red and just a touch of magenta, I'm sorry, my yellow, and just a touch of magenta, some water. I'm just going to put it over the whole thing. Yellow is, this yellow specifically is a transparent paint. So just paint it on top of those trees for now and then paint them over later. I'd like to figure out a way to set my camera up outside and do some plein air painting because I really like painting from life. And maybe one of these mornings when it's not so cold, that would be a fun thing to do. So I'm going to mix up a dark color again, a dark, something to use for my shadows here. So when I paint that snow on the tree, I'm actually going to use this kind of minty kind of toothpaste color to start with. And then from here, I'll go lighter or darker. Bark Tech. How's everyone doing out there? Let me know if you have questions as you're going. So I am the kind of painter that likes to figure it out as I'm going, but so I like to kind of carve out the landscape as I'm going. But if you find it more comfortable to sketch everything out first and then paint it in, great. Whatever you got to do. Just mostly be thinking about, if you're seeing blobs in the snow, how do you create that to look like it has volume? And this is a really good exercise for exploring grays and neutral colors too. I'm working on paper, so sometimes with paper I just want to get that first layer down because it gets the polymers into the pores of the paper and it makes it a little easier to paint on each layer afterwards. I did think I was going to be using this big canvas, but maybe I'll save that for a different one. Try adding a touch of yellow or some kind of a warmer pigment into your paint for some of those highlights. If you want to blend things easier, you could try using just some glazing medium, or like I said, if you have that open acrylic medium, that's really good for keeping your paints wet and workable. So I'm going to come in with a round brush now and just go in and do a few more details. With these trees over here to my left, I'm just I'm thinking about it as one big mound of trees and one big grouping of trees as opposed to like all these individual trees. I had a year there where I painted a whole bunch of winter scenes um, from Oneonta to New York, which is this small city in upstate New York. And just like a lot of houses in the snow and stuff. Um, that was a while back. I think that was 2016. And I don't know if I've done any snow scenes since then. Like I said, I think it's a fun excuse to just like, get a little bit fantastical with your painting because, when snow is covering everything, it looks kind of fantastical anyway. So you can just use it as an excuse to really get playful even with your composition and your painting. So I've painted that now into my background, and now I'm going to go back in with my lighter value and plug in some of those blobs of snow. Since the sun is over here, the light over here is a little bit warmer, it looks like, on my particular photograph. But, again, like I said, you can stray from your photograph, but I'll just go in and start placing in where there might be like blobs of snow here. If you want to make it look like it's snowing, you could try doing like a spray on top. Um, you could just flick some paint at your painting, or you can use like a toothbrush or something to flick paint on there. Um, it can give it like a little bit more of a realistic look than, I mean, some people, I suppose you could sit here and dot things, but no, that seems kind of bizarre. I think just like splattering paint or flicking paint onto the canvas is going to be a little bit of a better option. And so then this is the point where I would start to really go in with a smaller brush maybe, and start to get some of those smaller um, details, maybe smaller highlight areas. And I would go in a little thicker with my paint too at this point. You could get a little bit wilder with your colors if you wanted. I think I've had a couple of bots comment on my chat page here. Great. So yeah, I'm going to go in thicker now with my paint. I don't know if you can see that, but like for some of these details back here, or even, I mean, I wouldn't even call these details because this isn't really descriptive, but I'm just kind of getting into the way these warmer colors play against the cooler gray colors. That I like to apply those a little bit thicker as I'm finishing up. Or, I mean, again, this is just a study, but these final marks that I put onto the paper, I like to make them a little bit thicker, like a little more juicy. And then, yeah, I'll definitely go back into the sky here too. Like, I'm not done with that either. I did use up all my yellow, but I can go in thicker there. So if you've been painting today with me, feel free to send me whatever it is you're working on. I'd love to see what you've been doing. If I get enough, maybe I will create a little post on my blog and share them. If you want me to continue doing some of these this winter, feel free to send me an email. My email is listed in the video description below. And just let me know what kind of subject, what kinds of things would you want me to paint? I'm thinking maybe next Monday we'll do like a winter still life setup. Like if you have any ornaments or like winter baubles or whatever, we could play around with making some kind of a fun setup with those. But I'd like to hear if you have any ideas, let me know. I also have a link in the description to my PayPal and my Venmo if you feel inclined. Do not feel obligated. But if you want to donate to the channel, awesome. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more dramatic with my sky here. Go a little bit darker up here. See how like adding that just completely shifted the sky now. Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot more I could be doing here, but hopefully you get the idea of maybe the different colors that you would use, um, and the forms that you would use. Getting those warm highlights next to a cooler shadow really helps with creating the form of the snow and the light of it. And yeah, just enjoy like the weird shapes that come from the snow. I know after it snows, that's my favorite part. It's just, I love how quiet and still things feel after it snows. All right, I am going to head out of here. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the chat. I'll stay on for just a little bit longer if someone has a question. Maybe I can help answer it. I don't know if those little bot comments are creating problems, but I don't like it. All right, my friends, I am going to sign out of here. Thank you so much for joining me, for painting along with me. Feel free to send me whatever you work on if you continue working on this. Feel free to send it to me. Send me ideas for things you would like to paint together. And then just keep an eye on this channel to see, I'll usually post something the Friday before or so, like to let you know what's coming. Hey, I'm going to sign out. I hope you had fun. Thanks for joining. Thanks for saying hi. And I will see you again next week. Bye.